So Ramadan in a virtual world. Ramadan has changed for me a lot since 1995. And with COVID last year, it was a big shock to everybody's system because everything that we would normally do has had to be adapted. And then this year we're slightly more ready and prepared for it, but we've got a lot of restrictions, like no Ramadan tents, nowhere where you can gift food to people who you would normally gift food to. So the zakat kind of part and the community and generosity part has kind of been sidestepped until there's more new normality. Yeah. So one of the things that happens with me is I used to get invited for iftars at people's homes or in Ramadan tents with different companies, different clients and stuff like that. So Ramadan for me, when I moved to Ras Al Khaimah, became a very isolated situation because I knew nobody and everybody assumed that I would be fine and I would be busy. So I actually would take myself out to iftars on my own just to be with people. And I found a lot of people, especially people who have reverted, they don't have any families here. So Ramadan for them, prior to the virtual world and now, can be a very isolating experience rather than the generous community, love, sharing, and all those kind of vibes. So let me hand it over to one of you. What are your thoughts? So do you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, yeah, I think what you said is, and this is, I mean, this is for me. I haven't been around. I don't have the experience and that you have, and that I think many of us, many of all of you have, when it comes to Ramadan. Because, well, I'm 21 years old, so I was born into this, so I was born into this this sort of theme. How do I say this? This time where Ramadan has been consistent. So I haven't seen that sort of change that you were talking about. But I think it's definitely something that's very interesting, and that's because you've seen all of it. You know, you've been around, you've seen how things changed. But I think what has stayed constant throughout time, effectively, is the warmth that Ramadan brings. And I think that this is the word that would sum up Ramadan and this festive season. And I think this is quite different as well for many people. So, for instance, people of the Christian faith, they find that Christianity is also they find Christmas also a season or a time of warmth. And I think it's because it brings people together. You've mentioned being in Ras Al Khaimah, and you've mentioned effectively not being around a lot of people. And I think it's very true. A lot of people don't really have others to spend Ramadan with. But I think Ramadan prompts this gathering. It goes, iftars. It brings people together. People who don't have anybody, it brings people together. That's about it. So that's the start.
Smaller groups.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
Najla, I've had Ramadans with you. I've been with the family.
Yes, I think you should join us this year as well.
I have to cross the border.
No problem, come and do it.
and then my anxiety level goes whoosh.
But this time I think you will love it. Because I think we will experience this year a different way of Ramadan, how we used to have a lot of families during break the fast and sitting together as 3, 4, 5 families at the same round table. However, this year I think it's going to be like a virtual Ramadan. We might have a virtual Ramadan, or it's going to be a very small groups. Only it's going to be include our families. That's it. We cannot invite people because of coronas. However, I felt small things during the period, I think 19 to 2000, I think there's a lot of difference between Ramadan in 90s, 80s, and 2000. I think.
I'm just going to message Anthea because she's trying to get in. She's waiting but not got in, and the phone is misbehaving. All right, okay, no, she's just messaged, so I'll just say like, I don't know if Danish can get her in, because, all right, just a second.
Who's the host? Who's the host? Are you?
Danish is. I think Danish is, but she's on the phone rather than on the chat because she's not in. All right, please, Hani, do you want to say something? Because that's an interesting point, Najla, and I love the comment about warmth. You can still, it's nicer when you've got physical warmth, even with physical distance. But I think one of the things that freaks me out is people keep saying social distance, and it's not social distance. We need social interaction. We need physical distance.
Yes, I agree with you. However, I think, I'm not sure if Yusuf felt that, and Hani, before in Abu Dhabi, we were all live inside Abu Dhabi. Now, Alhamdulillah, the government, they give us a lot of houses. They are very far from the middle of Abu Dhabi. I think the town of Abu Dhabi. So most of us have living in Banias, Shamkha, Shawamah, Rahba, Bahia, all these areas. They are very, very far away. However, we miss that warm, how we hand over the foods before breaking the fast. And we I'm just waiting because we have a lot of neighbors at that time. When we are living inside Abu Dhabi, I'm just waiting for the Palestinian or the Syrian or the Sudanese or a lot of nationality. They brought a lot of foods, which is different than our food. Nowadays, they have haris, tarid, and all the national foods. I don't get, hummus, I don't get salad, I don't get tabboula or waraq anab. All this kind of international foods. So I think I miss all this. And nowadays people, they don't, even if you have a neighbor, you don't know them. So we miss all this, I think at this I feel I'm a stranger around my neighbors. They have a big houses, but a small heart. So this is what I feel.
That's interesting. No, I hear that. Hani, you got anything to say?
Yes, and the word which I can, if I want to qualify your discussion in one word or to summarize it, Nicola, we have definitely, well, the UAE in general, it has gone through an evolution, and an evolution which, and now I pick up Yusuf's word, that has maintained the theme of Ramadan. Because if you would like to ask me what does Ramadan mean to you, it is a theme in an ever-evolving world that is about warmth, that is about physical distancing in our times rather than social distancing. And the fact that we are physically away from one another, it gives us some kind of comfort for those who do not really want to socialize, even if it's Ramadan or not, a reason to actually point a finger and say, hey, I don't feel like it because I'm going to have to go. I mean, I know you, Nicola, and that's not your case, but I'm going to point my finger at you. You don't want to come to Abu Dhabi because you don't want to get your anxiety up, right? So what's stopping you from getting your nose picked, passing the border? Exactly, from getting your nose picked, getting to Abu Dhabi, meet with your 2000 your millennial friend Najla, and bring her with you on the way some of my tabbouleh or hummus that I would be preparing at home, for example.
Oh, cool.
Yusuf, I'll get back to what you said in a minute. So what do you think, Nicola? Can't you do that? And all of that to experience the warmth which Yusuf was referring to. And I think, Yusuf, I do not know in which country you are right now, but wherever you are. Being also from Middle Eastern country, I'm Lebanese, by the way. I can totally relate to the fact that in this time of the year, just like you have referred to Christians, Christmas, it is actually also a time of getting around the table, a time of family, and a time of just us being around. Warmth, cold, temperature aside, it's just so good to be all around one another in these times of the year.
Which I will come back to what anxiety and crossing the border later. But what brings us to the next question is like, why and how for fasting? Why do we fast? How do we fast? How do we? And the last question is like linking in fasting with co-workers who are Christians or Sikhs or maybe even Buddhists or maybe I don't know, Seventh-day Adventists or now because of the Abraham Accords could be Jewish. So how do we work around the fasting, not fasting, and fasting with co-workers and with students? Because people are fasting and they're online learning. And maybe the students are fasting, but the tutors and teachers are not, or maybe the tutors and teachers are, but the students are not. So, I'll give you a particular story. When I worked with a local government department in Abu Dhabi, and we were spread over 3 floors, and there were kitchens, 2 kitchens on each floor. And in Ramadan, this is 16 years ago, in Ramadan, they closed all the kitchens. So you'd find people, I've been here for so long, I fast from when I've left home until iftar. I don't fast from the sunrise. Anthea's in. Right. And so I said to my line manager, why can't we have one kitchen designated open for the non-fasters? So instead of going into the bathroom and finding people eating and drinking in the bathroom, which is a health and safety situation. So why and how for fasting and fasting co-workers and students, do's and don'ts, they all kind of interface, don't they? And Anthea's teaching online and has a daughter in school in hybrid learning. So she's if she's hearing us, she knows very well about teaching online and having a daughter that she has sometimes in school, sometimes not in school, and all those aspects. And then and none of you know Hani, none of you know Anthea. In fact, as we said, I'm the gel in the middle. So, okay, Anthea, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Najla's in Abu Dhabi, Hani's in Abu Dhabi, Yusuf is from Dubai, but he's currently overseas. And Danish is quietly in the background. Anthea's actually from South Africa, but from UK.
Okay, thanks.
What do you want to say? How's Ramadan for you? How long have you been in UAE? What sort of things that come to mind for you?
Me? Well, I've been here about 7 years. When it comes to Ramadan, in fact, I quite look forward to it because of the shortened work time. I mean, that's just like a bonus, you know. I love it. I live for it. But it's quite. My first time was quite different, purely because, like you mentioned earlier on, I found people having their lunch in the bathroom. And that was like, whoa, what's happening here? Because, you know, in South Africa and in England, everything still carries on. So it was a steep learning curve as well, in terms of kind of getting accustomed to what happens here, how it is done, what you have to observe, and how you need to show understanding, respect, and kind of assimilate as well. So it was a steep learning curve, but like I said, now I live for the shortened work hours. because it does help in kind of catching up with yourself for for the year, because I do work long hours, so it's a time of kind of reflecting, taking time for yourself, getting to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do other times. Yeah.
That's interesting. But I'm not managing this. You guys just interject whenever you want. This is not a panel. This is a discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So don't let me overtake it and direct it, because that's not the idea.
Actually, when I was working in Etihad Airways, they did a good things regarding the kitchen now, and they close it. However, they open a very big area with the curtains, and they close it, and they keep people only who is not fasting go and eat in this room without seeing them. So, and there is a big sign for the people who's not fasting, they can get or they can have their foods in this room. So I didn't feel there is any problems at that stage. And now I'm working in a federal, so all of us are actually fasting, so we don't have any multinational. Etihad Airways, we have, I think, 166 nationality at the same place, at the same building. So that's why we have the facility, and I think there is a lot of respect between us at that stage. So actually, you said they are eating in the bathroom. I didn't see it. So it was a very sad thing. If it has happened before, I think at this day it will not, because people now they are very more. There's a lot of policies written. There's a lot of directions. It should be there. I think it will not happen at this stage. I'm not.
Yeah, there's more diversity and inclusion and mutual respect. So it's not just multicultural. It's intercultural and cross-cultural. And that goes back to what Yusuf was saying earlier as well, about the way things have changed and grown and adapted. And that links with what Hani was saying too, about the incremental changes in our, not just our virtual world, but in our progressing world.
Yeah. The evolution.
Evolution, that's the
word. Yeah, sorry.
I think, yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying, funny that you say that you've had all of these changes, and you do notice that there have been many changes. However, I do observe that these little things aren't implemented in many places, where you still have this kind of thing happening, where you're still hiding away. Whereas you guys are in very progressive environments. However, I'm thinking, oh, what's going on here, because we have to demonstrate understanding and respect, but at the same time, I think some people aren't taking note of these guidelines that are in place and kind of implementing it. So that you feel that you're hiding, that you are fasting now as well. I mean, I would never be disrespectful to anyone, but I feel like I'm fasting now, and that's that. This is your fast.
Yeah, so the respect is not always two ways, depending on the organization and the location.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wait. Let me be very careful about what I'm saying. We've been recorded.
We can ask Danish to edit it if necessary.
Yes, please.
No, I think that's very true. I mean, I can remember seeing people taking sips of water from underneath their desk. There are ways of behaving and about being mutually respectful. And there has been a lot of change in many places, but there are still parochial places. It's very small, and where it's like, just get on with it.
And there's this thing you just mentioned. I mean, if I'm a non-faster, or no, the other way around, if I am a faster, someone who really believes that fasting is something that should be done for whatever reason, and I have someone, and I share my office or a desk with someone who does not fast, I do not think that because I am a believer or a faster or whatever, I do not believe that I should be having the privilege of telling that person whenever he wants to have a sip of water or whatever in front of me, I should not be the one telling him or her that you should not be doing that. That's one. Because this is, I mean, that's called empathy. And empathy is something that you are taught whenever you're young. And you should basically be mature enough to know that you are in a time of the year where Muslims fast, and you should not be drinking, smoking, eating in public. And if you would like to do that, just go and be about it in your designated area, which is just like Najla said, in Etihad. They used to have confined spaces or separate spaces for the non-fasters. So, so there are two folds for it. The faster, I don't think that the faster or the person who fasts should be put in a position that tells him, hey, you non-faster, do not do that in front of me. Okay, that's one. Because again, it's something that you're either taught at home to have empathy or not. And second, if you do not want to do that, then I mean, I don't think there should be any reason to escalate it as such, because I mean, you cannot do you cannot undo what's done. And it's something, again, empathy. It's all about empathy. You either understand and respect, or you don't.
This is, I think Hani has a very interesting, mentioned something very interesting. When I was in school, secondary school, where we were all aware of this. I think, because it's a very multinational. The school where I was, people from everywhere nowadays. It's very difficult to find a place where there aren't different people from different nationalities. But the idea was that we'd have the same thing, and then I haven't seen the start of this change where people went, okay, we have to get other people to actually respect and have this mutual respect. And what they did was, if people weren't gonna have this, then we'd have to find a way where if you want to eat, you can go eat in a specific place where the person who's fasting can't see it. But there's also another side to this, where when I was in school, for instance, I'd have friends who if when they were hungry, they'd look at me and they'd ask me, hey, can I eat this? And I'm fasting, and they can I eat this? And I go, fine, yeah, sure, go ahead. Because that's just me.
Yeah, but they'd ask permission. They'd not be rude.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I'm aware of time. I want to actually say, this may be there's a benefit of possibly being in a virtual Ramadan, and what Ramadan means for us now. Do you think that there is less food wasting and less excess conspicuous consumption with virtual Ramadan, being in a virtual Ramadan? Do you think there'll be less waste of food? Because sometimes people go and spend all. I spoke to somebody the other day who's Colombian, and she was saying that Easter in Colombia is deeply, deeply religious, and you've got the Lent and the fasting, etc., etc. And then you have Easter, which is kind of like the first Eid. She said when she first went to United Kingdom, she was like, what are all these rabbits and chickens and chocolate eggs? What's that got to do with Easter? And then she was like, had never related Lent with Ramadan in any kind of sense. But she also thought that smoking shisha after iftar or suhoor was part of the local culture, and it's nothing to do with Ramadan. So there's a lot of assumptions around different religions and different traditions. But do you think it's better that we can't go to Ramadan tents? Not for the people who are dependent upon the food, but for the people who are going to spend 200 dirhams on a buffet and then not even eat 10 dirhams worth. Your thoughts?
That's a very interesting point. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I think that the
Najla's smiling.
You know, I
think
love going to tent actually. Sorry, Yusuf. I love to go to tent. I don't have any problems to spend. I love the atmosphere. It's not about food because actually Ramadan, it's crunch your stomach. You don't want to eat. It's not about food actually. Ramadan is not about food. We love
But for
to
some people it is. It's about conspicuous consumption and huge waste.
I don't know. I don't feel that we cook a lot actually, Yusuf. I think our local houses they cook a lot, but we don't throw foods. We don't waste our foods. Actually, we eat it and we can eat it second day, so we don't have that problems. So we don't do these things, or I think that habit is not in our. I'm not sure now. Actually, in my home, we don't.
Maybe it's not the Emirati homes. Maybe it's the tourists and the expats.
I don't know.
Perception of what it's about, which gives a completely misleading.
It might be because actually what we did, Yusuf, sorry to cut what you were saying. Before Salat Taraweeh, what we do, actually, we took the extra foods and we go to the roundabout. Did you see all the roundabouts in our areas?
But you can't do that this year.
Yes, there is a lot of Pakistanis and Indian and a lot of nationality. They are waiting for that food, and actually, it's not a bad food. It's a good food. We are not.
Oh, absolutely. But this year, you can't do that.
We can. Why? We cannot. We can cook extra.
No, they've said no. Well, I don't. In Ras Al Khaimah, they've said you cannot give food. You cannot give food because of the current situation. You cannot gift food. Maybe. So you can't do some of the traditional behaviors and the charitable part. The reason I'm mentioning like the iftar tents, let's call it iftar, and the tourism is because there is an assumption that this is related to Ramadan, like chocolate and chicken and rabbits to Easter, which is not associated in the slightest. And this can give complete misconceptions about the spiritual aspects and reflection and warmth and gathering with physical distance.
The word which I'm going to use again, it's the evolution and how Ramadan has evolved from one theme to another. It used to be something, it still is, but partly less, I would say. It used to be something homely. It used to be something religious, something familial, about the family. But then little by little, just like Easter now is associated with rabbits and chickens, and you go ahead and you should pop my eggs, and whoever has the egg that doesn't pop or break is the winner. It's just the way that the media also
commercialization.
Yes, the commercialization of these kind of events is what the economy lies on, especially in the era where everything is closed and people want to get out of their houses. They want to go inside new places, tents, huts, whatever, and they want to go and try new stuff. Now, as far as our culture is concerned, when I say culture, it's mostly the Lebanese ones. The first day is usually associated with abundant quantities of food, right? And then the following 3 or 4 days, we eat the leftovers of this first day. So no food, and this is, I concur with Najla, no food is whatsoever thrown out of the house. And if it's not eaten, it's recycled in one way or the other. And it is that time of the year where you should be generous. The word which is usually associated with Ramadan in Arabic is Kareem. So Ramadan Kareem. So Ramadan is generous. It gives you, or it bestows upon you, a sense of generosity, not so that you would go ahead and give abundant quantities of food. No, that's one culture does it, but again, in a way so that you would be more aware about the luxury in which you are living, and introspect whatever you have right now basically is what's the opposite of the word abundance?
Non-abundance.
Non-abundance.
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. Nada. Zero. Nothing.
Exactly. So basically, whatever state you are currently in, when you once you introspect, is 100% better than many other people around the world. So Ramadan Kareem.
Mabruk, Ramadan Mabruk as well. Anthea, do you want to say anything there?
Yeah, I think with the tents, it's a bit difficult now. We can't really do the tents, but I think it helps to eliminate the excess waste of food, because when you do go to the tents, and I'm guilty of having gone to this because I've liked going to them as well. I quite enjoy it, right? But I mean, I look at the food and it's like excess, and I'm thinking, what's going to happen with the rest of this food? So maybe in your own home you recycle, but what happens with the food that is left over, all this excess food? And now with our current situation, we can't share that food. I think, in some places these kind of things would go to a food bank and the food is shared this way, but the food will have to be discarded. So I guess, and if we don't have these tents, or we have reduced numbers, then that helps to also just eliminate the excess, the waste, because I mean, this is about, you say it's about, I mean, Ramadan is about reflection and kind of looking back inward, right? So it's like inward and kind of grounding yourself again. And so I'm all for not having excess. And so I'd be like, no iftar tents. Yes,
just for the socially distant, physically distant interaction.
Yeah, I'd be stressed out. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this person's too close to me. Like, what do like 1.5 meters, like you've got to be 2 meters away. But that would kind of stress me out completely.
That comes back to me crossing the border, Hanny.
Anxiety, getting your nose picked.
Oh, well, yeah. But do we want our numbers to go up again? How are we going to do these iftar tents? How are we going to share? How will you show your kindness and your generosity that comes with this particular period? How?
We can do it in many ways, actually. Yeah. What we did this year, because we know that we cannot send the foods to people. So my family, they did a good things, actually. They brought a big bags of rice, not cooked rice, oils, milk, and all that stuff. And they send it to the homes, to the people that we usually invite them every year in our home. So we give them like a small gifts. We call it I don't know how to say it in Arabic, but it's like a gift of Ramadan.
Okay. In English, you mean?
Because I didn't know how to describe it.
It's like providing them with the dry goods.
Dry goods, yes.
But they can prepare it themselves.
At home, yes. So we sent some oils, right?
Food rations.
A lot of things. Come again, honey?
Food rations.
Rations. Yes,
yeah.
Rations.
Provisions.
Yeah, rations. Yes.
Provisions,
rations.
yes.
Provisions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yusuf, you're trying to say something.
If I could come back to a point that Hani and Anthea mentioned, that is the commercialization of Ramadan. So Anthea mentioned, how are we gonna bring back this? How are we gonna bring back tents? How are we gonna bring back gatherings? How are we gonna bring back? And I think companies ask themselves the same question, because a lot of things are currently associated with Ramadan. Say, for example, like drinks, like chocolate, and these things have nothing to do with Ramadan at all. But companies, what they do is, and I think this plays a part in excess, because in some places, I'm not saying in a lot of places, And in some homes, people are loyal to this brand, and they buy the brand. And sometimes they don't finish it. For example, if I buy a drink, or if I buy a box of chocolates, I don't necessarily finish it. I eat part of it. Not me, but a lot of people that what they do this, and sometimes companies would go to tents and go to these gatherings and say, listen, we're gonna sell you, you're gonna buy this amount, and because you're gonna have this much, for instance, a table of 5, they're gonna each of them, each person would have maybe 5 chocolates, or a number like that, and they wouldn't all finish it, and it'd get thrown away. And I think that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I mean, I can't believe it. It's 5:45. I think I need to wrap it up. It's really sorry?
And I didn't even get a word in edgewise, honestly.
That's not true. You got your opportunity.
I got my 2 cents in, my 25 fills.
Okay, so right, what let's have a takeaway. It's what does Ramadan mean to you in a virtual world in 2021? So let's have something from everybody, and then I can say thank you so much for coming online with this, because I think it's really, really important, and I love Ramadan.
Sure, down.
Lots of reasons. I love I love all the community, the reflection, the interesting food, the intricate food that's all prepared, and the community and the caring. But I can also end up feeling very isolated.
Ramadan this year, I think it's gonna be different. Okay, go ahead. Who starts? Yusuf, go ahead. This is my second time I'm taking your place. Go ahead, Yusuf. So we have to be one. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I think this year, more than every other year, we can't mention Ramadan, we can't mention this month without having technology play a big part. And I think this is a sort of a gradual increase in throughout time. I mean, this has never been done. I think this is going to stick with us for a long time. This virtual events, virtual festivities, virtual times of gathering. This is very interesting. So, Nazla, this is you could go ahead and yeah.
Actually, this is second Ramadan. We have Ramadan virtual, because last Ramadan it was the first of when it starts Corona, so we used to it, but it was more than this year. I think this year is going to be more easier. So the good things at that time in Ramadan, I felt I find the time for myself to be close to God. Before I like them, that we have a lot of families coming to us, and we have people around us all the time. So especially and starting from 7 o'clock until 12, or maybe sometimes until 4 a.m. in the morning, people around us at home. Last Ramadan, it was actually I found myself very close to God. So it was a good thing to me, because I built my soul and I built my mind. I think this year it's going to be more extra of building my mind and building my soul, because we need these times. As Anthea, I think she said something good, that Ramadan is give her a time to be with herself. We have the same as actually, because we will find this time to be with us. So we will take it in a good way, not in a bad way. So this is what I felt.
Okay. I think we'll go to Anthea next and go around to Hani. Anthea.
Okay, so what am I taking from this? Right. So I think for me, like Ramadan is really, it's like a little gift for me, because it's a time for me to spend more time with my daughter and to give her the quality time that she deserves. Yes, we've had online lessons, and we've had, I've been teaching online for since September. My daughter's been here intermittently, going to school, then being homeschooled, and then being back at school. So the time, there's never really any time. So this is a time for me to spend it with her, to learn something. You know, we'll learn something together. We will have better family time, quality family time. Maybe not as much, but quality family time. Because despite it being Ramadan, I will be working up until 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's when my colleagues decide that they now need to, they'll be awake. And so we have all of our clubs happening in the evening. We will have chess club, online chess clubs. All of our students, they come online. And there'll be a wide range of clubs. So we'll be busy. Yeah. Yeah. So
you won't have time to eat and have excess food.
Well, yeah. So Ramadan's going to be a time for quality family time whilst working very hard, being reflective, and kind of being innovative in terms of how I will meet up with other people during this time where, you know, it's limited in terms of when you go out, and it's going to be hotter. The weather's going to be there, you know, it's going to be a little bit of a killer. So we'll find ways of getting better. Yeah.
Right.
A bit of self-love. Yeah, that's it.
So there's a lot. So even though different religions and different nationalities, there's a lot of common ground about how we find Ramadan.
Oh yeah. I'm going to be physically active as well, right? I'm going to be like picking up 20 kg weights very soon.
Yes, your personal trainer. Hani, what you last but not least?
We say in Arabic, we leave always the most important to the end. So thank you very much for honoring that. My takeaway from this is that it's certainly going to be a time for empathy. Lots of empathy, and lots of time also to retrospect and introspect on some of the decisions that have been that have affected our lives, that of my wife and mine recently. So it's going to be a time of, because I mean, it's just that work finishes earlier, although we are always working, but the work pressure somewhat reduces. So that's going to give us, the both of us, some time to sit back, look back on what we have taken as decision recently, and see whether we can tweak them and work our ways around them for a better future.
All right.
And
okay.
And what do you say? Yeah.
Me? Well, I'm being coerced to cross the border and have my nose picked. I will come back to you and share with you but maybe not till after the week 2 or 3, because the first 8 to 10 days is usually people adjusting and adapting to the hours and to the change in diets and what time you eat and sleep and getting up in the middle of the night and getting up. And then you've got the night of power, and then you've got kind of like the rundown. And then, so I think maybe the 2nd or 3rd week, Najla, we'll work a plan. We'll work a plan.
But it will not be for one day. So
no, if I'm going to do it, I'll come down for a few days. What's the point of coming across the border and having...
Excellent. It should be worth it.
My brain impacted. What you don't know is, like 30 plus years ago, when MRSA first was happening in the hospitals with an infection, we had to have MRSA, which is very similar to the PCR. So I've done this once before. That's another reason why I'm so reluctant to cross the border, because it feels like it's in your brain. I know it's not, but it's
only
like
a one-timer. It's not that you're doing it every week or 3 times per week, and you have to like, come on. I think you're over pampering yourself, Nicola. And
no.
Najla
come
would
to
love
Russell.
to have you back
You
in
come
Abu
to
Dhabi.
Russell Khaimah.
I already came and I
Russell
visited you twice already over there. So it's time now for you to visit us back. I'm ending this conversation. I'm no more comfortable because Nicola is not willing to have her nose picked and come across the Rampur border.
I will be doing reflection, resilience, warmth, empathy, emotional intelligence, and also doing a lot of supporting of others.
By visiting them.
Are you going to bully me as well?
Oh, no. I am encouraging you.
You still got tomatoes in your garden.
I do.
I can physically visit you and keep physically distance and pick your tomatoes. She has got hordes and hordes of tomatoes. Hordes of tomatoes. Yeah. So environmental, emotional intelligence, reflection, warmth, generosity, empathy, and a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
That's a good, I said reflection, that's a good summary of what we've all been saying.
Yes.
So Ramadan Kareem. Shukran jazilan.
To you, all of you.
Ramadan Kareem to you as well.
Afwan jazilan.
I will greet you in Afrikaans then, right? Baie dankie vir hierdie voorreg om met julle te praat. Dit was fantasties.
All right, alhamdulillah, shukran.
It sounds amazing.
All right. Okay, masalama, shukran. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet every one of you.
Yeah, now you're connected.
Bye, Yusuf. Bye, Hani. Bye, Anka. Bye, Nicola.
Yusuf, stay safe.
You too.
All right,
bye,
everybody. Stay safe, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.